But what we have going on right now is this concept of propaganda. All right, yep, fire in the chat room, guys. Fire in the chat room. Absolutely. Fire in the chat room. So now, guys, we are gonna talk about this idea, right? That you guys are very familiar with this. You've heard it all the time. It is something that is known as propaganda, right? And we are gonna talk about what this is all about. So let me see if I could turn my screen for you here, as you can see. Okay. This is the PowerPoint. We're gonna go through this one real quick, okay? So the idea of propaganda here is this concept. Let's talk about that. Okay, so what is propaganda, right? From what you guys naturally, the definition that is well commonly known today. Well, it is somewhat people will refer to as a lie or something that either the government is using or a twisted version of history or some sort. But it is being used to manipulate masses of people to believe something that they would have never believed were it not for the use of propaganda. Now, that's the one we know. When I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the very, I'm going to say how propaganda has been used in the past and how it is being used today. And the one pioneer who should be given the credit for that. That's correct, guys. Fire in the chat room. So let's look at this very quickly, guys. What do we have going on right now? Here we are. No single person can claim exclusive credit. Let me put my PowerPoint up on my side here. Okay, no single person can claim exclusive credit for the ascendancy of the advertising in American life, for the advancement of public relations, and for the manner that our modern manufacturers promote their product to customers. No one deserves credit more than a man most of us have never heard of. Do you know who this man is, guys? His name is Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays may be styled the father of propaganda or the father of public relations. The man who has learned to methods and sets of techniques that he has applied to manipulate America, to manipulate masses of people for industrial purposes. He is the pioneer in public relations, mass media propaganda. Let's get to know him a little bit more. Some of the things that he has done was women smoking in public, for example. This was something that was not popular back then in the 1900s. With the help of Edward Bernays, this concept has not only changed, it becomes the norm today. Secondly, we have what is known as bacon and eggs, right? Why do we eat bacon and eggs? Who started this concept? Bacon and eggs should be something useful for the American breakfast. It all goes back to Edward Bernays. What about the many slogans that we are so familiar with, right? Save money, live better, want happiness, just do it. These many slogans that many industries use today are the results of Edward Bernays' influence in its inception and introduction of propaganda. Why do celebrities like to post along with products and cornflakes and cars and just about anything? Well, even that principle in itself came from Edward Bernays. Now, let's move on. This is what Edward Bernays says. Here are a few quotations coming from him. Men are rarely aware of the real reasons which motivate their actions. He went on to say furthermore, there are invisible rulers who control the destiny of millions. It is not generally realized what extent the word and action of our most influential public men are dictated by shrewd person operating behind the scene. He's not done. He's got more. Edward Bernays went on to say this much. We are governed. Our minds are molded. Our tastes formed. Our ideas suggested largely by men we have never heard of. One more from Edward Bernays. This is what he said. Men are rarely aware of the reasons which motivate their actions. So, what are we learning so far from this man? This was a thinking individual. You can say a psychologist at best, a journalist, a man who knew how to cause people to think certain way. Here is what you need to know. This man is often referred to as the father of public relations. In 1928, published his similar work, Propaganda, in which he argued that the public relations is not a gimmick but a necessary. Edward Bernays was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, the neurologist or psychologist, as you guys may know him as. Bernays came by his belief honesty, born in Austria in 1891. The year Sigmund Freud published one of his earliest papers. Bernays was also Freud's nephew twice over. His mother was Freud's sister, Anna, and his father, Eli Bernays, was the brother of Freud's wife, Martha. Here is some more. The year after his birth, Bernays moved to New York, and Bernays later graduated from Cornell with a degree in agriculture. But instead of farming, he chose a career in journalism, eventually helping the Woodrow Wilson administration promote the idea that U.S. effort in World War I were intended to bring democracy to Europe. So during the age of industrialization, after World War I in 1929 in New York, 50% of Americans during this time were living in cities. People were in smaller space than ever before. There was an emergence of the growing middle class at this time. And during this time, many of the industries wanted to figure out a way to sell more of their products to the consumers. So how are they going to do this? They hired Edward Bernays to help them figure this out. Having seen the effect Edward Bernays had with the use of propaganda during the war, Edward Bernays wondered where it might be useful during the peacetime as well. Yet, propaganda acquired somewhat pejorative connotation. It has somewhat of a bad connotation to it. When you hear the word propaganda, we often think of something bad, and this is why Edward Bernays rebranded the name propaganda to what is known today as public relations, right? So, what is propaganda according to Edward Bernays? This is what he said. The mechanism by which ideas are disseminated on large scale is propaganda, in a broad sense of an organized effort to spread particular belief or doctrine. Edward Bernays said, propaganda is the execute arm of the invisible government. So, to carry this out, he had what is known as a few rules and techniques, if I may refer to them as. Let's find out some more. It says, the first technique that this man applied to bring about this concept of public relations or propaganda into the minds of the public so that they can buy from certain industries and so on, he said, he promoted something that is known as crowd psychology and psychoanalysis. He promoted ways for sellers to manipulate the masses by appealing to consumers' unconscious thoughts, emotions, and desires, for these were much more potent than speaking to consumers about facts. So what has he done? He has taught the many industries, many sellers, to appeal more to the senses of the people, the feelings of the people, instead of their mind. Think about this. Many times we will go shopping and buy things like a Jordan or a Harley Davidson bike. Not because we necessarily need to have one. Not because we don't have shoes at home. We do that because of the feeling of wearing one of those. That is what Edward Bernays has taught the masses. Instead of teaching people, instead of teaching the companies how to promote facts about a product. That's why you see many of our commercials today. It's not about facts. It's all about a feeling. And what they are selling really is not the product in a sense that it will work for you. They are selling the emotion that comes with owning the product. Does it make sense? So, another step that he used, what is known as influencer marketing. He taught them to use authoritative and influential figures to help spread a message that could appeal strongly to the masses. For example, celebrities. This is why you see many celebrities have such a strong influence on television. Their face are just about everywhere. This seems to be popping from different direction because the goal is to influence the masses. This is called influential marketing. The third step that Edward Bernays applied to control the mind of the masses into buying certain products even though they have no need for it. It is called advertising everywhere. It is something known as intercommodity competition. And the concept behind that, he taught them to compete for the consumer's mental space in order to win them. They need to find ways to occupy as much of a person's mental space as possible. So how do you go about occupying people's mental space? You have to use what is known as mass media. The more people see it, hear it, feel it, is the more they will be prone to make a decision concerning what is being promoted. Edward Bernays in his book Propaganda went on to say this, guys. This is a long one. We're almost done. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinion of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. This is a logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. Vast numbers of human beings must cooperate in this manner if they are to live together as a smoothly functioning society. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conducts or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind. 4 simple steps that he applied, guys. Here they are. Create symbolism, appeal to unconscious desire, normalizing behavior, invading their mental space. This is literally how propaganda has been installed into the mind of the masses today. Guys, this stuff is so powerful, so effective, to the point that even Nazi Germany, Nazi soldiers utilized this for their own benefit as well. A man by the name of Goebbels Joseph, a Nazi, used this during the time for the persecution of the Jews as well. It is said in 1990s, Joseph Goebbels became an avid admirer of Bernays. in his writings. And despite the fact that Bernays was a Jew, when Goebbels became the minister of propaganda for the Third Reich, he sought to exploit Bernays' ideas to the fullest extent possible. For example, he created a Führer cult around Adolf Hitler. Edward Bernays found out about this, and this is what he wrote. They were using my books as the basics for a destructive campaign against the Jews of Germany. This shocked me, and I knew any human activity can be used for social purposes and misused for anti-social ones. You see, friends, today what we have going on, when you look at geopolitics, you are seeing the principles of Edward Bernays lined up in his book Propaganda at play. Right now, there's so much confusion going on in regard to the war. If you understand the principles of propaganda, guys, you can make sense of what's happening between Russia and Ukraine. There's so much more we can say to this. I wanted to share this video that I was watching yesterday by Even at the Doors. But guess what? Guess what happened? I went to look for it this morning. It was already taken down. Somebody said, we can't have this thing up there. Not now. Somebody said, there is no way the public should find out what's going on in Ukraine. The players or the powers that be made sure that this information did not get out to people like yourself and myself. I had already seen it. I already watched it. I picked up on it. I even made a short video in the community page about that. But somebody made sure this didn't go any further than that. So, I hope you guys are learning something so far in our discussion. We're talking about propaganda here. But we're gonna watch a video. Yeah, Even at the Doors. Yeah, they snatched it right after I watched it. Yep, they did. They made sure this was taken down right away. I went to look for it this morning. Guys, I looked everywhere. I was like, what happened? Right? I was like, no, this just came out, right? Yeah, it was gone. It was gone. It was gone. And I'm like, oh, somebody didn't want this up there. Of course, they always had their reasons, of course, you know how it is. But, yeah, they snatched it right off the computer this morning. It didn't even take 24 hours. He dropped it off last night. And I went on his website. He's going to upload that on his website. He usually does that. So I'm hoping when this is uploaded on his website, you can go and check it out. But the content was so strong, so good. I'm actually saddened by the fact it was removed so quickly. So there's a lot we can say about this, guys. Yeah, copyright excuse. Of course, that's definitely one of the reasons why they said this. Okay.